and it needs to be rooted out. Okay, I want to move
No, you don't agree. You're not willing to call it out on your own side. I agree,
and I call it out on my own side all the time.
But you're a dishonest partisan hack. Okay, who are you willing to call out on your own side? Who's an anti-Semite on the left? Who's an anti-Semite on the left?
Why are you screaming right now?
I'm asking you a question. Please answer it.
What's the question again?
I'm screaming at you. Name one anti-Semite on the left if you're willing to call it out in your own party.
I mean, there's plenty of people online. I mean,
when the independents stay home in the general, you're going to regret this conversation.
Excuse me.
Hey guys, Bran here. After the alleged attempt on Donald Trump's life, a frequent story online suggests that political fury and radical actions are present equally on both sides. Yet this clip seriously questions that narrative. What starts as a regular political debate takes a dramatic turn by the end, when one Republican panelist completely loses their composure, yelling over colleagues, branding another guest as a hack, and descending into a dramatic on-air meltdown. Things get so intense that the host ultimately has to prematurely end the discussion because it becomes unmanageable. What's truly telling about this incident is that the outburst occurs just because his political arguments were challenged. Watch the whole exchange as the ending reveals more than the debate itself. Stick around afterwards for my in-depth breakdown on why this moment utterly dismantles the storyline we're constantly hearing in the media. And before we dive in, support the channel. I'm aiming for 1,000 subscribers by week's end, so click subscribe if you appreciate this sort of commentary and insight.
Mike Nellis, Madeline Somerville, and Jesse Arm. Mike, let's start with you. The midterms, okay, maybe they're not going to be a complete layup for the Democrats. I saw this new piece in The Hill titled "Democrats Worry They May Be Taking the Wrong Lesson from Recent Wins." Some Democrats are warning that backlash against President Trump does not necessarily mean support of their policies and rhetoric. So what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, I think it's going to come down to the individual candidates who are running in their district, and Democrats have done, in my view, a pretty good job of recruiting some great candidates. The Republicans are giving us a lot to work with here.
I might take issue with you there.
Well, that's fine. We could disagree on that. But at the end of the day, the president's approval ratings in free fall. Gas is unbelievably expensive right now. And Donald Trump promised that he was going to make everything less expensive, and he hasn't done that. And so he's spending more time tweeting about the big, beautiful ballroom that he's going to build in his presidential library and the arch he wants to build. And I think the average American's pretty well upset about the way the economy is right now and the way the government's functioning.
Yeah, Jesse, to make matters worse for the president, several of his former supporters, we all know them, are now turning on him because of the Iran war. Jesse, your thoughts on whether the podcasters are doing actual damage?
No, I don't think the podcasters are doing much damage. I think the podcasters represent Podcastistan. They're sort of in their own island. Theo Vaughn was a Democrat up until 5 seconds ago. You had him up on the screen recently. Joe Rogan isn't really emblematic of the MAGA base. And I take issue with one thing you said earlier, Lauren. You said there's no comedian going to be present at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. But we've got Donald Trump, the funniest man in America.
Yes, even when I don't want to laugh, I do often laugh at the things he says. Yes.
Well, I think the Iran question is obviously still up in the air. It's a very kinetic situation. Things are still moving, things are still fluid, and if Donald Trump is known to do anything, it's that he's willing to kind of flip the table and see where things land. So there are going to be a lot of big, bold actions that happen between now and the midterms in November. I disagree with the point from prior that Democrats are recruiting the top candidates that they can to run in November. Abdul El Sayed, as one example in Michigan, running around the state campaigning with a guy who said America deserved 9/11, and Hassan Piker is one such example. And I think that time will tell. Things are going to change. Polls are not predictive. They are snapshots in time.
Yeah, good point, Madeline. Sticking with the Democrats, if they're able to take over the House this November, and they're probably very likely to, many are hoping they'll prioritize affordability. But Axios is reporting a group of House Democrats is now pushing for day one impeachment votes if they do take the House. So, Madeline, I mean, how does that sit with voters? Are they sick of this Trump impeachment effort that seems to be ongoing?
So I think the more relevant question actually is, how does this sit with the independent voters that the president has just recently lost? And I guess it's not even recent. It's the charts are tracking it since right after the Doge cuts. And then right after the October split last year. I think that the focus needs to be on those voters in particular, because what's going to happen is for the midterms, right, those folks are going to be those high propensity voters and turn out because they care about it. Those are the ones who are going to be excited about impeachment, and the other ones are going to stay home. And that's going to be the problem, right? If the Republicans are not able to reactivate that base with whichever candidate they decide to run, then those people who switched over in order to run, or in order to vote for a candidate rather than stay home, like the Gen Zers and the general independents, those guys are gone, and they delivered the election for Trump. So if they can't get a candidate that's going to motivate them, they're done. And I think that that's really going to be the motivating factor. I know we talk a lot on the show about Democrats needing to inspire people and Democrats needing to run a great candidate. I don't think they've found one yet, first of all, but I think that it really is going to be voting against versus voting for.
Mike, I want to get your take on that really quick. Do you see things any differently?
I mean, I see things a lot differently here, if I'm being honest with you. The first point on the podcast bros for a second is that Joe Rogan and Theo Von and the rest of them were a huge part of Donald Trump's election victory. And I think
yes, because the independents watched it. It's an apolitical space.
And let's talk about independents for a second, because Donald Trump is more unpopular with independent voters than Richard Nixon was at the height of the Watergate scandal, and George W. Bush was at the height of the Iraq wars on popularity. And there's a lot more independent voters today. And the number of people who are identifying as MAGA or Republican voters is shrinking by the day. So when Donald Trump talks about how high his approval rating is with MAGA, it's a smaller slice of the pie. So even if Democrats run bad candidates, or maybe not the most ideal candidates, which I don't think is what's really happening effectively on the ground, I think Democrats are basically as close to a lock as you can be right now today.
Is Abdul El-Sayed an ideal candidate? Is that your view?
Hold on, let Jesse jump in really quick.
Abdul El-Sayed.
Before he does that, can I finish my point? Because he interrupted me for just a second.
No, you can't. I'm going to jump in 1 second.
No, I don't think you get to just decide doing that.
Abdul El-Sayed is an example.
Hold on.
No, you want to grab on to Abdul, but he's not even the front runner in the race. This is what Republicans do. They pluck somebody out of the race and they go, I'm going to talk about this Democrat, but he's not the one who's actually going to win that primary, most likely.
What's actually happening is independents heard all of that and they don't care.
Hold on, Madeline, hold on, Jesse, now you.
Abdul El-Sayed couldn't decide whether he should issue a statement about the killing of the Ayatollah.
Nobody knows who Abdul is in this conversation. You're just plucking stuff out.
Hold on, let him finish.
Sad.
Abdul El-Sayed. I think a lot of people know who the Ayatollah was, okay? Because the American
people know who the Ayatollah is. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
The world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. Abdul El-Sayed is an Islamist sympathizer who is running for Senate.
You want to talk about the Senate candidate in Minnesota who was just accused of beating his wife and is no longer allowed to see his kid? Because I don't hear you talking about that. I can.
Why don't we talk about the Senate candidate in Maine who has a Nazi tattoo?
This is the problem.
Why don't we talk about all the Nazis in the Republican Party? You guys keep hiring them. They have to fire them out of the White House.
I would be happy to. I'm not going to sit there and defend them. I was just talking about Tucker Carlson.
There's a huge problem on the far right and the far left with some anti-Semitism that's brewing on both sides, and it needs to be rooted out. Okay, I want to move to...
No, you don't agree. You're not willing to call it out on your own side. I agree, and I call it out on my own side all the time. But you're a dishonest partisan hack. Okay, who are you willing to call out on your own side? Who's an anti-Semite on the left? Who's an anti-Semite on the left?
Stop the tape right now. We need to dissect what just unfolded because it's a textbook example of a modern political meltdown. We're constantly bombarded with the mainstream media's narrative of both sides, claiming that the left and right are equally to blame for the toxic state of politics. But pay attention to the body language and the words on your screen. Here we have Mike Nellis posing a straightforward question about condemning extremism, and instead of an argument rooted in policy, Jesse Arm completely loses his cool. When he shouts, "I'm screaming at you," it's not just a debate fail, it's exposing the far-right's key tactic in 2026, loudness trumps truth. This is the Trumpian strategy in action. It's the notion that if you can't win on the merits of an argument, be it about the economy, the Iran conflict, or Republican leadership's failures, you just crank up the volume until your opponent is drowned out. It's an act of orchestrated anger aimed at a specific audience. It's intended to convey strength to a dwindling base, but to the average independent viewer sitting at home, it appears as a glaring lack of emotional maturity. Watch how the host awkwardly assumes the role of a neutral referee, having to switch topics to the White House Correspondents' Dinner to prevent the segment from going up in flames. But the question lingers. If your platform is truly that robust, why must you resort to yelling in its defense? Let's continue with the footage to see if Jesse manages to regain his composure. or if his mask has slipped for good.
Why are you screaming right
I'm
now?
asking you a question. Please answer it.
What's the question
I'm screaming
again?
at you. I'm screaming at you. Name one anti-Semite on the left if you're willing to call it out in your own party.
there's plenty of people online. I mean,
when the independents stay home in the general,
party.
you're going to regret this conversation.
Excuse me.
This
Are
is
you willing to
ridiculous.
call it out on your own side or not?
Are you willing? Are you willing to admit that this president is a complete failure and this is the best you have?
Like, it's excellent points of disagreement that are very important and interesting to our viewers. Let's make things a little bit lighter. Let's go around the horn and give our predictions for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Rumors are some reporters are going to protest outside of this. President Trump's breaking his boycott and he will attend. Can I just get each of you on some predictions of how you think this is going to play out? Mike, Jesse, Madeline, in that order.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump will make a joke that will make me laugh harder than I want to admit. That's what I think will happen. I think he'll come up with one good one that'll be pretty darn good.
All right. Jesse.
I think Mike is going to hate it.
Okay. Madeline.
I'm not even going to watch it, to be honest with you.
Madeline, bring it around now. Bring it home for us.
I think Trump struggles to take a joke. It would be very wise for him to attend and to be able to deal with people making fun of him. I think that what he needs to do is make his own image warmer so that he can win those people back that he lost, that Republicans should be afraid will stay home in the general.
Very good, all. Thank you, Mike Nellis.
I need you all to take a moment to digest what we just witnessed, because that entire panel discussion completely fell apart, revealing something I've sensed for quite some time in the world of political media. Ever since the supposed assassination plot involving Donald Trump, there's been a relentless effort online and on TV panels to persuade everyone that political extremism and aggressive conduct are identical on both sides. Every conversation turns into, well, both sides do it, or both sides are equally culpable, or everyone's responsible for the toxic political climate. Now, don't get me wrong, heated rhetoric definitely exists across the political spectrum. Political arguments can indeed get nasty. But what exasperates me is how people consistently oversimplify everything into this lazy both sides narrative, even when the behavior before us clearly shows a different reality. So, what did we just observe here? This wasn't someone calmly defending their position. This wasn't someone passionately disagreeing while maintaining their composure. Nope. This was a complete emotional breakdown live on camera. The moment the dialogue turned against him, the man completely lost it. He began shouting, insulting another panelist, interrupting people, flinging personal attacks, and turning the whole discussion into pandemonium. There was a moment when it genuinely felt like the host was thinking, how quickly can we get this guy off the air before he blows up the set? And what makes it even wilder is that everyone else on the panel was still trying to operate like ordinary humans. There were people disagreeing, debating, challenging, the stuff panel discussions are literally meant for. And then you had this one guy act like someone just snatched away his air. That reaction didn't come out of nowhere. It's the larger issue everyone's hesitant to address. The culture of politics is important. The way leaders communicate is critical. The tone set at the top seeps downwards eventually. When people spend years observing powerful figures insult dissenters, ridicule opponents, attack journalists, humiliate critics, and treat disagreement like betrayal, it's no surprise that some supporters start to equate aggression with strength. They begin to believe that shouting the loudest means victory, that bullying signifies dominance, that losing grip on emotions somehow equates to passion. And that's why episodes like this carry weight. You can actually watch the influence unfold in real time. The irony is that those who constantly accuse others of being hazardous or unhinged will sometimes completely unravel the moment they encounter opposition themselves. It's as if they think free speech is only valid when no one challenges them back. Honestly, some of these political debates are turning less into discussions and more into chaotic family dinners, where one uncle has had too many energy drinks and mistakes yelling for making a point. But there's something crucial to clarify because this often gets tangled in public discourse. Criticizing a politician is not equivalent to endorsing violence against them. These are two entirely separate things. You can believe a politician is damaging. You can disapprove of their policies. You can think their rhetoric harms the nation. You can criticize them intensely and still wholly reject any violence against them. It should be obvious, but somehow these two ideas are continuously conflated. They aren't the same. And that's why clips like this are enlightening. Under pressure, people reveal their true selves. When emotions surge, facades drop. In this panel, one person completely lost their cool while the others managed to remain within the realm of a genuine conversation.